What is going on, guys? I am really excited to be bringing the third video to my page, Keystonecarry. And this one is one that I am extremely excited about. I wrote a blog on the original setup and it's changed a lot over the last year. So this is something that I get messages about every week. Dozens of people asking questions. And it is my 300 Blackout short-barreled rifle build. This is right now my favorite rifle, and I am really excited to be bringing this video to you guys. It has been requested over and over and over again. So hopefully you find this exciting and you really get into this video, because I'm gonna dive really deep into the specs and why I did what I did and where I came from on this build. And before I move on into the actual footage, I also wanted to go over that if you see me looking at my cell phone, I am now shooting with a brand new Canon 6D Mark II. We just bought this about a week and a half ago. I can actually stream to my phone and change everything from focal points, settings on the camera, like right there I just focused on the gun, and there I focused on my face. So this camera's incredible. I'm hoping to do a video on it in the very near future, but this is going to be a game changer for me for videos. But let's quit talking about all that crap. Let's move on to the actual video and get right into it, because I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. Hopefully you find it entertaining, and hopefully you come out of this with some more information. Let's get into it. One of the first things that you're going to see when you look at this build is it is very little. This is a registered SBR, so it's short-barreled rifle, which just simply means that the barrel is less than 16 inches in length, and it features a buttstock. Many of you are already familiar with the tax stamp process. This is regulated under the National Firearms Act, which was enacted in 1934. So this is a registered weapon. I did have to wait about a year to get the tax stamp back, and that was quite the process. But all of that being said, let's get into a little bit of history about where I wanted to go with this and some of the reasons why I built a short 300 Blackout in an AR-15 platform. Many of you that are following my page, Keystonecarry on Instagram, have seen this rifle time and time again. You've seen videos, you've seen pictures. This is right now my favorite rifle. One of the reasons why I went with the caliber 300 Blackout was because of the potency of the round. It does have a lot of punch to it when you're comparing it to a 223 or 5.56 caliber. And to me, I wasn't as concerned about the distance or the ability to hit at 400 or 500 yards. For me, this is my home defense rifle. It is my go-to gun for anything 200 yards and in. And let me tell you, this rifle, for being a 7.5 inch barrel, is extremely accurate. People think that you need this 20-some inch barrel to actually achieve some sort of accuracy, but it's just simply not true. And at about 25 yards, which is where I typically zero this rifle, you're hitting bullet on top of bullet. So it all looks like this really tight cloverleaf pattern. Out of 50 yards, it's virtually the same. The group really has not opened up at all. And then out at 100 yards, I'm a little less than 1 inch groups. At 200 yards, consistently with this on a bench, I can get 2 inch to 2.5 inch groups with 110 grain VMAX hand-loaded ammunition. So just keep that in mind, that really what comes down to, or what I should say drives the accuracy, is the quality of the parts, having a good barrel, and then even more important is really good ammo. And this started out, before it went to an SBR, a little history, I built it as an AR pistol. And from there, I outfitted into this. So when I was about ready to pull the trigger on this, I bought 2 lower receivers, and one I built immediately into a pistol. Any of you familiar with that initial blog write-up that I did realize that my intention with this build from the very beginning was to start out with an AR pistol and then from there build out into a short barreled rifle. And there's a couple reasons why I wanted to do that, and I'll get into them in a couple minutes. But the first iteration, if you will, of this rifle was an AR-15 pistol. And from there I built it out into what you're seeing here. And as a pistol setup, it worked great. It did what I wanted it to do in the time frame that I had it as a pistol. It was built, some of the reasons I built it, I should say, were for a vehicle gun to have with me when I'm traveling, to be able to have a very small, compact, hard-hitting home defense rifle. And in its pistol form, it did all of those things. I ran a KAK brace on it. I had a Hollow Sun 515C red dot, which was perfect for what I was using it at the time. And I had a different rail. I was running an Anderson upper receiver, which I still am running, an Anderson lower receiver, and I had one of Anderson's EXT rails, which I did not like, and I just recently switched that out. I did not have the Law folder at the time, but it was just a bare bones 300 Blackout AR-15 pistol. No frills, nothing fancy, but it got the job done. And what I was looking for in this build, again, was that truck gun. It was that gun that is always within arm's reach of you, that you know that it's always gonna go bang, that if I'm at home at night and God forbid I need it, it's a hard-hitting round that's accurate, from 0 yards out to 200. And realistically, with the 300 Blackout caliber, that's what we're looking at. I'm not trying to hit something at 400 or 500 yards. I'm looking at that short to mid-range carbine. If I need to reach out and hit, say it's a coyote or it's some other animal we're hunting and I gotta go 400 yards, I'm probably not gonna shoot at that distance, but I do have my 308, I also have my 5.56. And those calibers are more suitable for that kind of distance shooting than the Blackout. Can you do it? Yeah, absolutely, you can do it. As I discussed, the accuracy on this thing is incredible. At 200 yards, I have full faith that I can shoot a fox with this setup. And a lot of people have the belief that because it's a 7.5 inch barrel that I'm gonna lose all of this accuracy, and that's just simply not true. May I be losing some accuracy versus a 16 or 18 inch? It's possible, but when you're shooting 2 inch to 2.5 inch groups at 200 yards with a short barreled rifle that is a 7.5 inch barrel, that's a pretty substantial grouping, and that's something to note, that just because it's a short barrel does not mean that I have this minute of man gun that will not hit anything less than a paper plate at 200 yards. So that was one of the misconceptions that people often message me on Instagram about, because again, the keyboard commandos have everybody thinking that just because it's a short barrel, it's not going to be accurate. And that's, again, simply not true. Again, if you have a longer barrel and you couple that with, say it's a heavy match grade barrel and you're running really good hand loads, of course, you can get those groups at 200 yards even less than 2 inches. But within a realistic expectation of how this rifle should perform, I am extremely pleased with the accuracy that I have achieved with it. Starting with the lower receiver, I am running an Anderson AM15 lower. There's nothing special going on there, and I think that people oftentimes overthink this aspect of the rifle. While it does hold, the trigger group and a lot of the different functional parts on the rifle, it is not as critical as what I would say most people think. Now, the Anderson AM15 lowers I've had extremely good luck with. I've also run Aero Precision and had really good luck with those, but I would not be scared of running an Anderson lower on any rifle that I build. The upper is also Anderson manufacturing, as well as the bolt carrier group and the bolt. The barrel is also from Anderson manufacturing. When I built this, I was on a tight budget. I was looking to get the most bang for my buck out of this build, and Anderson had the parts that I wanted, the barrel length that I wanted, and it was fairly affordable. It definitely was not the $300 Palmetto build, so I think when you're building a 300 Blackout, you should probably get that idea out of your head. Don't just go trying to build a $300 rifle, because I think that, I know you'll be very disappointed. The function is not going to be there in the way that you would think, And a lot of the people that are complaining about functionality or cycling issues with their 300 Blackouts that personally that I have experience with, I have found that they are running very cheap kits. So stay away from that. Make sure that you're building a quality rifle. I would definitely recommend building it from good parts, even if you assemble it yourself, because you're gonna know what you're putting into this thing. And any of the parts that I'm referring to here, I would definitely recommend, because I have actually helped people build their rifles exactly the same as mine, and their reports back to me are the exact same that I'm reporting to you. One of the biggest myths that I've seen on the internet floating around all over the place is how these cycle and the reliability of a 300 Blackout that is this short. And I have a video clip I'm going to show you of me running without the suppressor, subsonic ammunition. This cycles perfectly fine and locks the bolt back. If you have a rifle that is set up properly, it is going to do that as well. It's not something special or super unique. It just has to be set up properly. I'm running a standard buffer, standard spring, standard bolt carrier group. It's just a good setup. It's quality parts and it's looped well, and it's going to serve you well if you stick to that. So with or without the suppressor, this rifle runs everything. Right now I've got some 220 grain subsonic rounds from Keystone Munitions. I'm running them without the suppressor. And I'm gonna show you guys that this is not a unicorn. This isn't something super special, but it will run subsonic ammo without a suppressor. Bolt held open and everything. So again, for the barrel, this is a 7.5-inch barrel. Currently I have an ASR brake on the end. This is going to allow me to thread on my Silencer Co. suppressor right onto the end. Just show you guys there. So it just threads on like that. You turn the locking collar and then I can shoot suppressed. I have ASR accessories, muzzle devices on every single rifle that I own because I run the Silencer Co. Omega. Recently I put on the SLR Rifle Works 6.7-inch Helix rail. This is an M-LOK rail and I really love this rail. It's super lightweight. Again, it's M-LOK. It has a short Picatinny section on top, which allows me to mount my flashlight and run that without any problems or any other accessory. Some of the accessories we're about to be running is we're going to be getting some IR lasers for our rifles to run with night vision, so I'm going to mount one of those up here in place of this Inforce. But the Helix rail is nice. It's super light. I really love how SLR locks onto the barrel nut. This thing is definitely not going to rotate, and it's definitely not going anywhere. So I'm very pleased with that. You'll see that I have a BCM short vert grip, and I don't hold it like this when I'm shooting. I like to actually rotate my hand and lock over it like that. I think it gives me a good way to get a lot of leverage on the rifle and manipulate it well. So I put that on recently, and this is going to spark that whole debate that people love to have about whether or not you can put a vert grip on an AR pistol or not. I'm not going to be your lawyer, but I can tell you that you can put a vert grip on a short barreled rifle. So that argument does not apply to this case. So moving back up here, again I have an Inforce APL, and I get a lot of flack for this because that's actually designed for handguns. Now this is not the newer, more compact APL. This is the older version. And again, people are, I get messages all the time. Why are you running an APL on a rifle build? That's not designed for that. And that's true, but I actually really like the paddle design on this light. I had it in my inventory. I was not using it for a pistol at the time, and so I started running it on the Blackout because I feel like this is more compact than my WML platforms that I have, and it gets the job done. I believe it's only around 200 lumens, so it's definitely not the brightest light, but it does exactly what I need. And when I need more light, I have other mounts here, and I do have, like I said, Inforce WMLs that I run on this and my 5.56 as well. So then if we step back here to the middle section of the rifle, as I said, I have a Vortex scope on it right now. It is on Vortex cantilever mount, one of their mounts. This is the Gen 1 PST 1-4, and I really love this scope. Every click is 0.2 milliradians, and I just enjoy this scope a lot. It has plenty of holdover options, and I like, personally, a lot of people are going to say they don't like this, I like the fact that the turrets are big. I have a dope chart on my stock over here, which I will go over shortly, but I like the positive engagement that these clickers give me. I can set my zero, make adjustments accordingly based on my distances, and I can quickly reference without having to remove any caps or anything crazy. I quickly reference where I'm at. Now, in their Gen 2 scopes, they're 1-6. It is a little different. Still an awesome optic, and if it would have been within my budget, I would have grabbed one of those. But this was within my budget and fit my needs at the time, and I feel like a 1-4 is perfect for a 300 Blackout. I would be lying if I told you I wouldn't rather have a 1-6, but for now, this scope is perfect for my needs, and I have shot this many times and been very pleased with the accuracy, very pleased in the quality of the glass. It does also have this knob up here, and you can actually illuminate the reticle. And for the grip down here, I simply have a Magpul grip. Now this is one of their more vertical grips, which I like. There's a name for it, I forget what it is off the top of my head. But it says on the packaging it was designed more for short-barreled rifles or for AR pistol platforms, and I like it. I like the amount of leverage I can get onto it. I feel like I can pull that back into my shoulder really well. And I've been running this since really day one. If you check out, let's go up to the top here, I have a Vortex Venom, a 3 MOA red dot. So this red dot is pretty awesome. I put it as an offset because I wanted to have a backup to my primary optic, because I have had, obviously, scopes fail. You could be out hunting and trip over a rock or a tree. Now all of a sudden your scope is out of commission, and if you don't have some sort of backup sighting system, that could ruin your hunt, or if you're in a defensive situation, it's good to have some options for a backup. I did not want iron sights, as you can tell with this short rail. I do not have a whole lot of room. I could mount stuff on the M-LOK sections on the side, but for reasons that I'll get to shortly, I don't like mounting a lot of stuff to the side of these rails.
One more, here we go.
And the reason for that, the main reason, is I carry this in a Vertix Gamut backpack, and I don't like to have a whole lot on the side of the rifle because it's going to affect the depth of my bag. And I'll go into how I carry that in the bag shortly, but I try to keep it as streamlined as possible. So going toward the back of the rifle here, it's fairly obvious I have a law folder on this, and again, like I just said, I carry this in a backpack every single day. This thing is always with me, and I keep it folded in the backpack. This keeps it as a very compact package. Even a longer barrel than this, say a 10.5 or a 12.5, can fit into the Gamut bag very easily, simply because of having the folder. You're cutting off a ton of length, and it does give you the ability to fire one-shot folder, which that's not why I have the folder. I have the folder simply to have this in a very compact package, to be able to quickly rotate it out and then be functional and into action. So I've been very pleased with the Law Tactical folder. It has not affected my reliability in any way, shape, or form. And if you're looking for another folder that I have had experience with that allows you to shoot the rifle and cycle it folded, Deadfoot Arms also has a folder, and I've heard through the grapevine that Law Tactical is coming out with a folder that is going to allow us to run our rifles with the stock flipped out or flipped in. So as soon as I can confirm that or get my hands on something like that, I can put that into an updated blog post. Currently I have a Velocity flat 3-pound trigger in this rifle, and full disclosure, this was just given to me by a friend this past weekend, so I really do not have any use with this trigger as of yet. I can't really give any feedback on it, and I don't want to until I get at least 1,000, 1,500 rounds through it and get to know the trigger. The trigger that I had in prior to this was a Geissele SSAE trigger, and I can give a lot of feedback on that. That trigger is phenomenal. It took me some time to get used to it. It is a 2-stage trigger. The reset is really what throws me off on that trigger. It just felt like there's a huge distance between when you're pressing back on the trigger, shot goes off, and you're resetting. I always felt like I was jumping back really far, which made me prone to slapping the trigger back and quickly taking up that first stage rather than just methodically pressing it back to the wall, breaking, wall, breaking, wall, breaking. So again, I can't really give much feedback on this trigger at this time, but I will at a later date. So going to the back of the rifle, I have a BCM stock. This stock is kind of blocky, and it's definitely not the lightest stock in my opinion from fit, finish, and feel, but it is very comfortable. It does have a couple mounting options on it, but I decided not to use them. I have a quick attach mount for my sling in the back plate right here on the back of the law folder, and then I also keep a sling attachment point up front on this side. I like to run a 2-point sling. I'm not really into the single points, as I feel like it just gets tangled up on me when I'm trying to transition, but this 2-point Vickers sling from Blue Force Gear has done tremendous for me. So back on the stock here, I do have my dope chart. I'm calling it my dope chart, but really what it is, for me, I just have my primary ammunition choices. I have 2 of them right here, and then I have what adjustments I would need to hit without having to compensate. I have them written down here on the back of the stock. So it's a quick reference, but I do have these down here for reference, and I can quickly turn my turrets on my scope to get them adjusted in depending on my distances. One of the other things that is blatantly obvious about this rifle is it is Cerakoted. It does have a different finish than factory. The lower is still the factory anodized black, but on the upper and the rail and the pistol grip, I went with combat gray, and I did this myself. Again, we do Cerakote at the shop at my property. I feel like the combat gray is a nice neutral color. It doesn't jump out too much. When I'm in the woods, it doesn't look like a shimmery gold or anything. It breaks up the rifle, the coloring a little bit, and it is one of my favorite colors next to burnt bronze. So this was an obvious choice, and it does very closely match my gamut bag, and not that that really matters as far as functionality, but I like this color a lot. This is one of my favorites. If you guys would like something like this done to your rifle or your pistol, your slide, multi-tool, whatever it might be, my email is always in the description below, and you can just reach out to me at any time. Again, my goals with this were fairly simple. I wanted a very reliable AR-15 platform that I could throw in a vehicle, I could go on a coyote hunt, that I could really use as my home defense rifle, my do-all rifle. Is it going to perform out at distances like a 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor? Absolutely not. But I'm not attempting to try to do that with this platform either. This is simply a well-rounded setup, something that's accurate enough that I can, again, shoot a coyote at 100 to 200 yards, or I can defend my house and property with it. And coupled with the Silencer Co. Omega suppressor, this thing is very quiet. With supersonic ammunition, you're obviously still going to get that supersonic crack, but when we're out shooting videos for my other company, TA Targets, and we're trying to really showcase our steel target systems, having a suppressor is critical. It really lets you hear the steel, how it resonates, and the different functions of each system. On my suppressor, I have a Coltac suppressor wrap, and this is going to keep the heat from obviously leaking out and potentially burning myself, putting off mirage. These things are just great. It has an inner layer and an outer layer, and Obviously, if you're going to be dumping mag after mag after mag after mag, you're going to surpass the heat ratings on these. But when I'm even running 1 to 3 magazines, I don't have any trouble with this, and it allows me to actually pull off my suppressor and handle it without burning the crap out of myself, which would lead to a very bad day. But also, I put my rifle away hot sometimes in my bag, and I need a way to protect my investment on my Vertix bag. That bag was not cheap, and I would hate to burn a hole through it just because I didn't have a suppressor wrap. During the transitioning period before I had the BCM stock, after I got my tax stamp, I ran the KAK brace, and I picked up one of IC13 Arms blade protectors off of their website. That simply slides into the back here, and then I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it adds a little bit of padding, a little bit of protection for your KAK brace. Now, full disclosure, if you're going to run this on an AR pistol, do not use this accessory. The ATF has determined that they believe that this modifies your KAK brace into a stock. But if you're running a short-barreled rifle and you don't want to put out the money for a stock, and you have a KAK brace on hand, definitely pick up one of these, because it does make that KAK brace much more comfortable to shoot against your shoulder than a tiny thin little piece of plastic. As you can see, when I did the Cerakote on the rail, the upper, and the grip over here, I did it on the Shockwave brace and this pistol grip as well, because there are times that I'm traveling and I don't really feel like filling out a 5320.20 form, and so what I'll do is I'll swap the upper onto a pistol lower, and I will just simply run a Shockwave brace so I can travel freely without notifying the ATF. For those of you that don't know, and maybe this will hold you back from building an SBR, when you have a short-barreled rifle and you cross state lines, you need to notify the ATF prior to yourself crossing state lines. There's a few exceptions for that for certain individuals, but for the majority of us, it's a 5320.20 form, and it can take up to 40 days sometimes to get approved. So make sure if you're traveling outside of the state, put that thing in, with plenty of time to spare, or else you could find that you don't get approved in time and then you're stuck without your short-barreled rifle. Well, if all of that sounds like a bunch of crap, then why would I want to build a short-barreled rifle versus just building an AR pistol? And the answer to that for me was how I can hunt. So currently, as of the time of making this video in Pennsylvania, it is illegal to hunt anything in the state with a semi-automatic pistol. So that poses an obvious problem, I should say, for those of us who are looking to hunt with an AR pistol. They are not legal. They're not a legal tool to hunt with. So the entire reason that I did a short-barreled rifle build was this is now a rifle. So I can actually go out coyote hunting with this. I do meet the legal requirements for that. And as silly as that seems, it was a necessary step in my opinion at the time so that I could enjoy this and then hunt varmints or predators with it. So when it comes down to it, that's it. That's the only reason why, is just because I needed to be legal to hunt with this in Pennsylvania. Hopefully someday we get smarter than this and change the laws around hunting in Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is a very tough state to change anything. The hunting tradition is so ingrained into us that people just flip out with any kinds of updates, it seems like. Now I'm going to briefly talk about how I carry this, and I'm not going to go into a ton of detail with this now. I'm going to do a full video on my bag at some point down the road, but I'd like to at least touch base on it so you guys can see how I carry it. And I do literally carry this every single day. There isn't a day that I leave my house and go anywhere without my bag and my rifle. It's not out of paranoia, it's not out of anything like that. Obviously I want to have it within arm's reach, because what good is a weapon if it's not with you at the time that you need it? But at the same time, I'm going to the range weekly. I'm shooting videos for TA targets all the time. I always need to have something on hand. If I need to test a product or shoot a quick video, I have got to have something within arm's reach to quickly throw the suppressor on, grab some ammo, and go. Not drive home from the shop a half hour and then drive another half hour out to the range. I like to have what I need on hand. Some people are gonna probably comment and say, you're crazy, why would you ever carry that? I don't really care. This is for me personally. You ultimately decide for you what you would like to do. I like to have the option of a carbine on hand all the time. I carry this in my Vertex Gamut bag, and it has worked really well, fit into my lifestyle well, and I wouldn't change any of that for any reason. So I'm gonna flip the camera down a little bit and show you a little bit about this bag and how I carry it. This is just, again, a brief overview of this bag, but this is, in my opinion, the best bag on the market right now that I'm aware of for carrying a short barreled rifle. I bought this bag now, I want to say about 2 years ago, and it has served me well through everything. And I am not easy on this bag. So if we open it up, what you're going to see is how I have this compartment set up. This main compartment is where I house the short barrel rifle. It has plenty of room to fit everything. The suppressor is always over here. The stock is folded. I slide it actually in behind this compartment in the back. I feel like that works best for me. I know that some people just simply throw the rifle right into this this main compartment. I like to separate them like this. I think that works really well. And then it is as easy as pulling, flipping, and then you have a full short barrel rifle at your disposal. I really think that if you're in the market for a bag, you should definitely check these out. I have loved my Vertex bags. We've used a couple of them here, and my wife and I are actually about to order a couple of the EDC ready bags. So that's a very brief rundown on the bag itself. There's way more involved in this bag than just that, and way more functionality. But again, if you're looking for a bag, consider the Gamut bag by Vertex. I know that was a lot of information to swallow in a very short period of time, guys, and the video drug on longer than I would have hoped for, but I tried to condense as much information on this build and from my experiences and my opinions into one video. I try to keep it as short as possible. So hopefully it wasn't too long for you and you stuck with us, because there was a lot of information there, and I'm hoping that you picked something up, maybe got some ideas for your next build, and maybe dispelled some myths that are commonly floating around on the internet. Thank you for tuning in. Give it a thumbs up if you can. Drop a comment or question in the comment section below. If you have questions and you want to reach out to me directly, my email is in the description at the bottom of the video. And you can hit me there, or if you can't find it there, look in the About section on the YouTube page. Guys, hopefully this encourages you to build a short barrel rifle or an AR pistol. I definitely 100% recommend all the parts that I described here. So far they have done tremendously for me. I've bought everything that you see here, and I think it's money well spent. I'm not going to recommend a product that I don't believe in. And the best way, like I said in the video earlier, to carry this is with my Vertex bag. So if you're looking for a setup like that, definitely look into the Vertex Gamut bag. The Law Tactical Folder makes it so you can throw a gun in a bag, and that is tremendous. But anyway, guys, just some other details to wrap this all up. If you want to support me directly, consider getting some Cerakote work done through us. Hit me in the email in the description. We would love to get your stuff in. We'd love to turn it around for you and make your firearm, or even just a piece of gear, maybe it's a knife or multi-tool. We'd love to make it epic. So hit us up and we'd be happy to do that. Another way you can support me directly is through my other company, TA Targets. We manufacture really awesome steel target systems that are totally different than anything else on the market and at a totally different quality level, and we do it right here in Pennsylvania. So hit us up, tatargets.com. Check out our full lineup. We have something for everybody, and you can use code Keystonecarry and it'll save you 10% off of anything on the TA Targets website. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. I'm going to be releasing videos, hopefully bi-weekly going forward all summer. That's my goal. But stick with me as I grow this page, because there's going to be a ton of different content, not just gun related, but so many other things that I'm involved in my world. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, guys, take care and stay safe.